an old fat man wandering around on a roof. Yeah, that's the line that just lit up the internet, and it came from MSNBC describing none other than Donald Trump. Brutal, maybe, but also kind of accurate? Today, we're asking a real question. Is Trump finally losing his grip on male voters? Because the polling says yes, and the imagery, it's not helping. So let's start with the viral clip. Trump was recently seen on a rooftop, kind of just waddling around, waving. And MSNBC's segment titled, "An Old Fat Man Wandering Around on a Roof."
The president held an impromptu press conference from a highly unusual location.
Sir, why are you on the roof?
That's nice. That's not a question you hear asked of a world leader that often. It's right up there with, "Your Majesty, where are your pants?"
Did some really bizarre rooftop wandering yesterday. Turns out Americans are getting tired of pretending there's nothing to see here, that it's all totally normal to have a world leader, president, wandering around the roof and shouting from it. A new Gallup poll finds that Donald Trump and his administration are deeply unpopular with Americans. A poll on Americans' views of world leaders, including the Pope, President Zelenskyy, Bernie Sanders, AOC, has Trump and his administration at the bottom of the pack, with Trump's approval rating at just 41%. It doesn't get better for Trump the more polls you look at. A new UMass Amherst poll has Trump's approval rating at a mere 38%, with 58% disapproving of his job performance, a 20% gap. According to that UMass poll, Trump is underwater in every single issue area that Americans say they care about. He gets 31% approval on his handling of inflation. Immigration, 41%, jobs, 37%, and just 31% of Americans approve of Trump's handling of his pet obsession of tariffs. If that doesn't shake or scare Trump and his allies, his support with men has plunged, helping to drive this drop in his poll numbers from 48% in April to just 39%.
Is Trump losing his cool factor with men? It's funny, but beneath the humor is something serious. Trump's image is slipping. For years, he sold himself as this alpha male, this tough guy, the billionaire who says it like it is. But what we're seeing now, it's more like your weird uncle at a barbecue who won't stop yelling about gas prices while spilling beer on his shirt. And look, it's not just about memes or moments. Recent CBS/YouGov polling shows Trump's approval rating among men has dropped to 47%. That's below water, even with a demographic he once dominated. Why? Well, maybe it's because inflation's still high, despite his promises to fix the economy. The border isn't some magical stronghold, despite all the wall talk, and his endless court drama, indictments, and conspiracies are getting old, even for people who once thought he was entertaining. Trump built his brand on being cool for a certain kind of guy, working class, anti-PC, anti-elite. But now, that image is falling apart. The younger generation of men doesn't see a strong leader. They see a man stuck in the past who complains more than he leads. And honestly, when your political persona starts getting compared to an old fat man wandering around on a roof, it might be time to rethink your grip on power. Trump wants to be the strong man, the hero, the savior. But at some point, you have to ask, what has he actually done for working class men? Wages? Stagnant? Healthcare? Still a mess. Veterans? Still underserved. So if he's losing his cool factor, it's not because of how he looks on a roof. It's because people, especially men, are waking up to the fact that Trump's entire brand is built on vibes, not results.
Well, President Trump says he intends to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin as soon as next week, but only if it's tied to a peace deal with Ukraine.
Stating that preparations for this bilateral meeting are already underway, again with that target date for this meeting being sometime next week. Now, they say a venue has been selected in principle and have been agreed upon. That's according to Putin aide Yuri Yushakov. Now, that venue is going to be kept under wraps for now. This sit-down request was prompted by President Putin, who made the ask during a meeting yesterday with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, where great progress was made. Here's the president.
We had some very good talks with President Putin today, and there's a very good chance that we could be ending the round, ending the end of that road. That road was long and continues to be long, but there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
Now, back on July 28th, President Trump had given Vladimir Putin a revised 10 to 12-day deadline for a ceasefire in their continued assault on Ukraine. Now, 10 days was marked today. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told Fox Business he thinks there's an opportunity for the president to have a meeting that includes both President Putin and Zelenskyy to, quote, close this thing out.
Donald Trump just agreed to a high-stakes meeting with Vladimir Putin. But here's the kicker. He says he'll only do it if Putin also agrees to meet with President Zelenskyy, a potential trilateral summit in the middle of a brutal war. That's a big swing. But is it diplomacy or just more Trump-style theatrics? According to Reuters, Trump is planning a high-stakes meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, possibly as soon as next week. And this would be the first U.S.-Russia summit since 2021. But Trump has made one very specific demand. Putin must also agree to meet with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy. No Zelenskyy, no summit. This follows talks in Moscow between Trump's personal envoy, real estate guy Steve Witkoff, and Kremlin officials, which Trump called highly productive. So the stage is being set for some kind of peace push, or at least the appearance of one. Now on the surface, this sounds like diplomacy, right? Trump wants peace talks? Well, maybe. But let's be real, this is Trump we're talking about. The guy who praised Putin as a genius for invading Ukraine, who tried to extort Zelenskyy over military aid, and who's openly bragged that he could end the war in 24 hours. Let's not forget, this is a man who views foreign policy as a TV show where image matters more than outcomes. If Trump were serious about peace, he'd be working through international institutions, NATO, the UN, the EU, not sending a random real estate guy to Moscow. And if he truly cared about Ukraine, he wouldn't be undermining support for their defense every time he opens his mouth. This one expectation he's putting on Putin, to meet with Zelenskyy, might sound reasonable, but the risk is huge. It puts Putin on a global stage again, as if he's some legitimate peace partner. It pressures Zelenskyy into a potentially dangerous photo op with no real guarantee of progress. And worst of all, it lets Trump play both sides, pretending to be pro-peace while cozying up to autocrats. This moment matters because we're watching Trump try to rewrite his legacy in real time. He's gambling on the idea that Americans will forget everything. The phone call that led to his first impeachment, the praise he's heaped on dictators, the chaos he left behind in foreign policy. Don't fall for the rebrand.
What has the impact been on your farm of the president's policies?
Well, it's been rough this year, John, and we're hearing from farmers all around the country. Bankruptcies are on the rise, and farmers are asking, boy, am I going to be able to stay in my home or keep my home if they file bankruptcy? Farm suicides are up. And the president's tariffs have put this country in complete turmoil for America's farmers. And really, John, it's a state of emergency for America's farmers because right now we're still selling corn, wheat, and soybeans at dramatically low prices because the markets have plummeted because every other day the president makes another announcement about tariffs. The only thing we still do in this country better than anybody around the world, and people can debate me on this, is produce corn, wheat, and soybeans. When it comes out of our field, it's ready to be shipped to China or corn in Mexico. And the president is negotiating on this because he knows this is the only thing that America produces, and he's gambling with America's farmers' lives.
And look, this isn't just politics anymore. It's not about red hats or blue states. It's about the real people who are getting left behind. It's about farmers, people who've fed this country for generations, now watching their livelihoods disappear because of reckless tariffs, gutted programs, and broken promises. And as one farmer put it, bluntly, he's gambling with America's farmers' lives. That's not hyperbole, that's reality. While Trump jets around, chasing headlines and playing strongman on the global stage, rural communities are struggling to hold on. People who once supported him are now realizing he's not fighting for them, he's using them. So if you care about the truth, if you care about working people, don't get distracted by the show. Pay attention to the damage being done behind the curtain. Thanks for watching.